the URL, or you want, and you also, or you just, or you want both? You want the, I'm trying to get you the embedded code. Yeah, I don't know, it's supposed to be the level 5. I want to make sure that stuff is in there. Right now, you can get it by others. Try to get the embedded code. speaking to the mic. A little louder. A little louder. It's fun. Okay.
Hi, good morning.
Again?
Good morning.
Alright. Yeah, but I'm paying. Now I gave him the URL. I'm trying to see if I can get it quick, but what I'm on my phone, that's you live on the phone, so it's going through.
Need to say live to the people in the room.
That's like, you know, I'm just trying to get them. I sent them the URL to book everybody, but I wanted to compare it so we could actually take that and put it on the website. Other than that, they'll have to just put the URL on the website. But they can access it on their mobile phones if they want it. One, two, one, two, one, two. I don't want to step down. Let's check this. Hold on, I'm still on it. How are you? Yes. With the rhino and everything.
All right. Council was invited. I wanted to be with us this morning. So he was here this morning that he sent us his best wishes for the ceremony. It's good to see all of you here this morning. I think that the names representative is on his way, but unfortunately because we have live time, we are being live streamed as we speak through the region outside. We are unable to delay the proceedings. But when you are acting here, a lot of things happen. As you're leaving the door, I'm sure that we will be there if we can as soon as possible. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Flo for providing the live stream that enables us to be connected through the region and outside, beyond. And this is one of the most beautiful things about the University of the West Indies. A university that connects countries and regions. Now please stand for the arrival of Her Excellency Dame Pearlette Louise, Governor General of St. Lucia. Please remain standing for the national anthem.
I'll see what I can do in the meantime.
Please be seated. Your Excellency, Dame Pearlette Louise, Governor General of St. Lucia, Sir George Alleyne, Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Dr. Luz Longsworth, Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UWI Open Campus, Honorable Gail Rigobert, Minister of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, Ms. Maite Navaz Abad, Deputy Chief of Mission in the Embassy of Mexico to the U.S. And I see she's not here. Ambassador, you came yourself. Ambassador Moran is here. His Excellency Mohammed Benjelani, Ambassador for the Kingdom of Morocco. Madame Muriel Lassalle, Representative of the French Embassy to the OECS. Ms. Lourdes Freitas, Representative of the Embassy of the Federative Republic of Brazil. Dr. Charmaine Gardner, Chair, Cave Hill School of Business and Management. Excellency Dr. June Suma, Secretary General Designate of the Association of Caribbean States. Monsignor Honorable Dr. Patrick Anthony, SLC. Ms. Esther Bradford, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development. Ms. Lydia Daria, Official Contact of the UWI Alumni Association, St.Lucia Chapter, and other members of the UWI alumni. Mr. Nixon Barry, Student Guild Chair, St.Lucia Chapter, and other members of the Guild of Students. Our donors, to whom we are eternally grateful, and you will hear more of them later. friends, well-wishers, private and public supporters of the UWI. Welcome and good morning. Welcome to the launch of the UWI Global Giving Week initiative in St. Lucia, or as our Vice Chancellor likes to say, Give Back Week. The inaugural week is August 1st to 7th, and we expect that this will become a point on our calendars when we take time to reflect on what this region would be without the University of the West Indies. And I'll give you a brief moment to think about that. Our imaginations would be greatly challenged to come up with such a picture. I'm sure you agree. Because the UWI, from its humble beginnings as a tiny university college, has grown into the tightly woven threads which make up the very fabric of this region that we call home. I can say without fear of contradiction that there is not a single area of life or a public institution in this region that does not owe its development, even its very existence, to the UWI. Someone remarked recently that it would be very interesting to see what would happen if we were to call a UWI Alumni Stay Home Day throughout the region. Entire sectors would cease to function. Teachers, agriculturists, engineers, doctors, accountants, lawyers, nurses, managers, sportsmen, politicians, meteorologists, seismologists, and the list goes on. Princess Alice, who was the first chancellor of what was then the University College of the West Indies, would certainly never recognize us today. Leaders, thinkers, visionaries, literary geniuses, activists have poured out of our walls and have helped shape not only this region, but many parts of the wider world where our alumni are scattered. A university spanning 17 countries and territories, a Caribbean community in itself, born from a population, tiny population, when you look at us on a world scale, but globally recognized and standing tall for almost 70 years. This, to my mind, is one of the wonders of the world. Even more so, at a time when insularity, paranoia, and fear of our neighbors are splitting nations and communities apart, the university remains strong and united, and a beacon of hope for the region. So how do we express our appreciation for the pioneering role played by this iconic institution, for the role that it continues to play in reminding us of who we are and what we have achieved? How do we do this? We give back. We give back so that our children can move through this century with confidence and pride, that they have inherited a legacy which enables them to navigate the world. The legacy of a strong university built against great odds by our own hands, and whose mission it is to nurture that sense of Caribbean selfhood, which is the catalyst for true independence. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am not doing the official welcome, but you know me, you put me in front of a mic and I will speak. I have to call on our Chancellor, Sir George Alleyne, who is actually doing the official welcome. Sir George, please welcome him.
Thank you very much, Dr. Simon. My initial reaction was just to say, go on, go on, go on, and not say a single word, because it is difficult to match the passion with which she spoke of the Pelican and what it stands for. Your Excellency, Dame Paulette Louise, Governor General of St. Lucia, our Principal, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me add my words of welcome to those expressed so eloquently by Dr. Simon. It is for me a really great pleasure to be here, and I thank Dame Perlett for organizing this at very, and I use the word very deliberately several times because it was very short notice, and really it is a tribute to your generosity and your love for the university. I know that you put yourself to much inconvenience to have this ceremony in delightful circumstances that, for me, circumstances that are redolent with many happy memories. The University of the West Indies, as Dr. Simon pointed out, is an important institution of our time. And she pointed out that one of the reasons for having this Global Giving Week is that people should give back. I would modify that a bit, and I would say give and give back, because I think giving back would indicate that there are those of us who were there and want to give something back. But I would take the view that all persons from the Caribbean and all those who love the Caribbean, not only who live but love the Caribbean, should be so concerned with the continuation of an institution like this that they would feel or be led to feel the urge to give to the University of the West Indies. Normally, when we speak of giving and Global Giving Week, a lot of the emphasis is placed on money, and I do not hesitate to speak of money. A famous president of Harvard University, Derek Bock, he said once in a speech that there is one thing that exiled monarchs, compulsive gamblers, and universities have in common: they never have enough money. They never have enough money. And we have no exiled monarchs in our midst, and none of us are compulsive gamblers. But one of the things that we all share, a university doesn't have enough money. And you will ask, why should universities be in that situation? Why should we speak of giving, and why should we think of material things when we give? And the three expressions, the three words used as almost the motto of Giving Week, educate, emancipate, and donate, speak very clearly and speak very loudly to what we think of Global Giving Week. First, as Dr. Simon says, we hope it will be an annual event. Giving Week, the first week in August, will be an annual event. And why do we insist that it be an annual event? One, because we have learned that giving is a habit. It becomes a habit. Those who give know that once you start to give, it is easier to continue the habit of giving. So we want this to be an annual affair. At once during the year, if you wish to make it more often, I don't have any difficulty with that, but at least once during the year, you give a thought to what this institution stands for and what you can give to the institution in time, in resources, but what you can give to the institution. The three words used to characterize Giving Week are emancipate, educate. It really was emancipate, educate, and donate. And when we speak of emancipation, we do not speak only in terms of manumission. Emancipation thought of beyond pure manumission. We think of it perhaps more in the Bob Marley sense, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, because it is, in a sense, many of the shackles that bind us are not physical shackles. Many of the shackles that bind us and stop us from being better than, as good as we should be, and better than we are the mental shackles. And one of the features, one of the reasons of a good university is to help to liberate, and not only the young and the not so young as well, help to liberate them, help to emancipate them from these shackles that bind them. And we would like, and that is one of the reasons why the university's motto, "A light rising from the west," is so pertinent and will be pertinent through the ages, because the idea that our university will light in the region, have burn so brightly in the region that many of our citizens will be, in a sense, emancipated and light shining into the darknesses that contribute to their being shackled. And education, of course, education in its pristine sense. Education is pristine to mean to lead out of. That's what education really means. And our university, going on from what I said with emancipation, to lead our citizens out of a situation of feeling unworthy, non-accomplishment, to lead them out of that situation, to lead them into a state where we believe we can be as good as anybody and better than most. And donate, obviously, if we are going to do all of this, there has to be a donation. There has to be a donation in terms of time. And here, I always like to recall, and Minister, I say this in your presence, that our governments have been magnificent over the years. I'm a testament to the magnificence of our governments of the Caribbean in supporting university. And I would never wish the day to come when our governments cease to contribute to and support the university. But in this plural world, governments can't do everything. And we think that the state as a whole, that is comprised of the governments, civil society, and the private sector, is the state as a whole has the responsibility, I think, to ensure that the institutions that are going to educate, that are going to emancipate us, that our institutions are properly supported. And it's for that reason that we think of giving as well as giving back, all of society contributing to the stability and growth of the university. It is David Rudder who crafted the West Indian anthem, Rally Around the West Indies. And I would like to plagiarize David and say that what we really wish to see at least once a year, if not all during the year, that this rallying around the university, such that it becomes the institution, it continues to be an institution of which we are all proud. We continue to be an institution which not only our children, but our children's children will continue to be proud. Dame Perlette, thank you very much for having us. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Chancellor. And I just want to recognize the arrival of the representative of our Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Eubaldus Raymond. Welcome. And of course, Chancellor, in his usual eloquent way, I think has stimulated that urge to give. Please give into the urge. And we have now a message from our Vice Chancellor, Sir Hilary Beckles, who unfortunately is unable to be here. But when you're Vice Chancellor of a university spanning 17 countries, it's hard to be in all places at all times. So we will listen to the message from Sir Hilary Beckles.
I joined with Dame Perlette Louise and our Chancellor, Sir George Aline, and welcome. I joined with Dame Perlette Louise and our Chancellor, Sir George Aline, and welcoming each and every one of you to this event to mark the unfolding of the UWI Global Give Back Week here in St. Lucia. Her Excellency, as you all know, is a distinguished graduate of this fine university. I wish to thank her once again for rising to this occasion to function as our honorary patron and launching the UWI Global Give Back Week here in wonderful St. Lucia. It is now globally recognized that universities, fine universities especially, can be ranked according to one important criterion: the willingness of its graduates to give back to their alma mater, to participate in a culture of philanthropy with the university in order to establish an organic and development bond between their own personal career and social trajectories and the well-being and good fortune of their university. In launching this Global Give Back Week, your university has provided you with an opportunity to participate in developing a sophisticated system of relationships whereby each and every one of you can give back to your alma mater. Over the years, in fact, over the decades, we have provided alumni outreach mechanism to allow many of you to participate in this relationship. And many of you have done so over the decades. The university, of course, thanks you very much for your options, primarily to give towards scholarships, to fund research, and to enhance infrastructural development on your campus of choice. This Global Give Back Week is an opportunity, however, for the UWI alumni to give back on a global scale and to participate in the next strategic plan that is requiring a major injection of financial resources. This opportunity we are asking you to take on as seriously as you can. Why give back? Over the last 68 years of our journey, we have relied primarily upon the investments of our governments to sustain the modernization and the expansion of our university. We owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude. In recent decades, the private sector of the region and the international donor community have come to the support of this university and have emerged as principal stakeholders in our development. It is now the time for our graduates to emerge at a higher level of engagement, especially now that most of our governments are finding it particularly difficult to continue the level of funding that we have become accustomed to in keeping this university moving forward as an institution of high quality. Universities the world over have come to rely upon their alumni. Many of you have done exceptionally well in your professions, have participated in changing your societies and the world. We are now providing you with an opportunity to link your success to the sustainability of the institution that participates in your personal development. The university is getting ready to roll out its next strategic plan, 2017-2022. The funding of this plan is as important today as it ever has been. There will be many areas, many new and innovative areas that will require a tremendous injection of resources and professional support. This is all a part of the creation and the recreation of excellence and sustainability of this university as we go deeper and deeper into this 21st century. We recognize that many of you have already given to many other institutions in your societies, and as fine graduates of this university, you are all socially engaged in one way or another. But your university nonetheless will continue to call upon you, to rely upon you for special and specific forms of contributions. We have linked this theme, the UWI Global Give Back Week, to a fundamental historic truth, that our people have relied upon education as the primary vehicle to take their families out of poverty, to build enterprises, and to create sophistication in civil society. It is not surprising, therefore, that the theme of this week is educate, emancipate, and donate. We have chosen to relate the process of education and donation to the ongoing process of emancipation. From the 19th century to this time, our families have emphasized that education is indeed the way in which we prefer to expand the quality of our lives in the Caribbean. The 21st century will require that we maintain an expansive and sophisticated UWI. Your support to your alma mater is vital for us to attain this objective. So I join then with our patron, with our Chancellor, and urging each and every one of you to get in touch, to participate in this process of engagement, and to make your contribution to the UWI Global Give Back Week. I thank you for your support, and we will continue to build our beloved, the University of the West. I thank you.
Virtues and characteristics of a true UWI alumna, and it gives great pleasure to call upon our patron, Her Excellency, the Governor General of St. Lucia, Dame Pearlette Louise.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. And as I was tempted to say that flattery will get her everywhere. Sir George Aline, Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Dr. Longsworth, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UWI Open Campus, Honorable Dr. Eubaldus Raymond, Prime Minister's Representative, Honorable Gail Rigobert, Minister of Education, Innovation, I'm trying to say it by heart, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development. I got it. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, other distinguished guests, particularly the donors among us, alumni, students, and friends of the UWI. I listened to Dr. Simon, Sir George, and Sir Hilary Beckles, and I said to myself, great minds do think alike. We'll forget the part of the saying. I thought perhaps, what can I add to these appeals other than what has already been said? But I'm on the program, I'm patron, and so I'm going to give it my best shot. I want to preface my remarks this morning by referring to what has become one of my favorite pieces from the voluminous work of St. Lucia's and the Caribbean's Nobel laureate, Sir Derek Walcott. The piece, taken from his Nobel lecture entitled The Antilles, Fragments of Epic Memory, reads, and I quote, "Break a gaze, and the love that reassembles the fragments is stronger than that love which took its symmetry for granted when it was whole. The glue that fits the pieces is the sealing of its original shape. Antillean art," he says, "is the restoration of our shattered histories, our shards of vocabulary, our archipelago becoming a synonym for pieces broken off from the original continent." End of quote. What, you might ask, does this have to do with what has brought us here today? You see, I see a parallel between the glue of which Walcott speaks, that Antillean art which has restored our shattered histories, and the University of the West Indies. UWI has reunited our scattered archipelago, has brought our people together to make of us again one people. Former Vice Chancellor Sir Alistair MacIntyre speaks of the growth of the institution, its maturing and independence, its involvement in the community as an epic journey filled with challenges, trials, and tribulations, but one that was inspired at all times by the vision before us of the unity of West Indian people. To him, the University of the West Indies has been a symbol not only of knowledge and learning, but of the West Indian people. And it is fair to say, he argues, that not even West Indies cricket binds our nations together in the unique way that the UWI does. UWI has been that glue, applied painstakingly with love, that restored our shards of vocabulary, that got us talking together, laying down the foundation and the pillars of regional integration. Over the past 68 years, we have been engaged in this labor of love, applying layer upon layer of glue to keep this impressive edifice resilient, relevant, and responsive. But, as they say, the times, they are a-changing. And we need to redouble and recalibrate our collective efforts to prevent it from coming unstuck when, in fact, we need it most. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what this initiative is all about. A call on alumni, partners, friends of the UE, and indeed all whom the university serves, to support its fundraising efforts as it seeks to position itself in the front ranks of higher education across the globe. I listened to the Vice Chancellor as he addressed us just a while ago, and before him, the Chancellor, and before him, our head of Open Campus, St.Lucia. And I believe the Vice Chancellor gets better at selling this initiative every time he speaks. You will have noticed, and the previous speakers have drawn attention to it, that he no longer speaks of Global Giving Week, but of Global Give Back Week. That, to my mind, is a significant change in the way he would like us to respond to the call. You know, it is a good and wonderful thing to give. Giving blesses him that gives and him that receives. And indeed, the fragrance always stays in the hand that gives the rose. But giving is philanthropy. And Sir George, referred to it in his address. And indeed, the world has benefited and continues to benefit from the generosity of those who have been blessed with abundant resources. Giving back, however, is gratitude. The acknowledgement that we who have once been at the receiving end now need to add to that revolving fund of goodwill and generosity. The beneficiary is now in a position to be a benefactor. And in many cases, we have received freely. Now, we must freely give, according to our individual means, of course. So, I encourage year groups, campus groups, faculty groups to rally behind our Chancellor and Vice Chancellor and the whole administration of UWI to raise the profile of our university. It is a family affair, and so we must all pull our weight. A bit of plagiarism, took place a while ago with Sir George referring to somebody. But but if you permit me to plagiarize a well-known hymn to get you on your way. Now, I will not sing it, but those of you who know the tune, it is the tune, the hymn is Freely, Freely. Is that? Freely, and this is how I put it. freely, freely you have received, freely, freely give. Go in UWI's name, and because you donate, others will follow your lead. Maybe at the end, somebody could sing it, and I heard, there was a little impromptu choir, backup singers. I am a proud and grateful UWI alumna, having won my first major academic stripes from UWI Cave Hill many moons ago. I benefited from the generosity of a development agency, the Canadian International Development Agency, CIDA, for scholarship and student support to the Eastern Caribbean. Many of us in the region benefited, and besides an academic degree, long-lasting friendships and alliances have been formed. More recently, I have been honored by UWI as an honorary distinguished fellow and recipient of a degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Now it's my turn to give back, and I am pleased to serve as patron of UWI's Global Give and Give Back Week here at home. All of us alumni have our story to tell, our experiences to share, perhaps not as lofty as mine, but definitely no less important. So join me, alumni, fellow alumni, and the other donors who have committed themselves today to give something. For some of us, it can be a massive hero maximum. For others, just the winning single. But every little counts and matters. Remember the widow's mite. UWI is you and we. Together, you and we can continue to build up this beloved university of ours, which was created as a place of light, liberty, and learning for the people of the West Indies. Let that light rising from the West continue to shine brightly and be a beacon, constant and true, for all students and alumni, past, present, and future, and for all those we serve. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your indulgence.
I would like to thank Her Excellency for this wonderful exhortation and obvious evidence of her commitment to her alma mater. And you can see by these superior linguistic skills what value that grounding at UWI gave. And I know firsthand because she taught me Latin. She taught me Latin many years ago at St. Joseph's Convent. So I need say no more. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your commitment and your endorsement. And I would just like to acknowledge the presence of the ambassador for Mexico. You see, UWI has a power of pulling countries together. We have a lot of ambassadors in the room. And I was, in fact, doing a quick calculation of the net worth of people in this room and wondered if we can, work out a little percentage in terms of the giving back. That would be very useful. At this point, we have a presentation of donations from persons and corporate entities who wish to do so publicly. Of course, we have a number of pledges that are done privately, and we are no less appreciative no matter how they are done. I will call on Her Excellency to make the first donation, and this will be received by Sir George, our Chancellor. next to Her Excellency. And Her Excellency is making a donation of $5,000.
As they say, it is gratefully received and will be faithfully applied.
And Her Excellency has also, on behalf of Dr. Winston Paris, presented us with $5,000 as well. Chancellor, Dr. Winston Paris, who has called on Her Excellency.
Yes, in an email yesterday, Dr. Paris asked me to pledge that on his behalf. And Dr. Paris was one of the early students in medicine at Moda. And of course, you know him, accomplished St. Lucian, world-leading pain specialist. So, any of you would feel some pain when you hand over the check?
Thank you, Excellency.
Three duties of an alumnus. One is to give, two is to give until you feel pain, and three, not to notice the pain.
Chancellor, don't go yet. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you. Chancellor is going to receive the next donation, which is being made by ECFH and being presented by Ms. Joanne Charles, the Chief Operations Officer. And ECFH is giving us $10,000. Okay, thank you, Chancellor. And I will now call on our principal, Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal, Dr. Liz Longsworth, to receive from Invest St. Lucia. And I think they're just writing in the amount. So it means that the amount has gone up since they listened to all the speeches. Yes, a couple more zeros are being added to the check. It's US currency. Okay, change of currency, we've gone up. And this is in the amount of $2,000 US from Invest St. Lucia. I'm not sure if we have any other confirmed donors. I know we have the ECFH check was already given, wasn't it? Yeah. So it's the Alumni Association principal. The Alumni Association wants to make a presentation. And this is in the amount of $2,500. Thank you, alumni. Do we have any other donors with us who would like to make public presentations? Her check is small in physical size. Yes. Please come up. And this is coming from the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative. And you cannot ask for any more UE alumni than from among our teachers. And this is in the amount of $2,000. Thank you, teachers. Yes. Thank you, Principal. And of course, without our UWI, there would be almost no teachers. Yeah, I think there would be actually none. So thank you to our donors. Thank you to persons who have pledged future donations. We know for a lot of people this is outside of their budget cycle, but we have got quite a number of pledges for donations to be coming in. So Sir Hilary will be pleased to know that they will be coming in as time goes by. And remember, the Global Giving Week is actually August 1st to 7th, and we're always ready to accept and also give you the publicity if you so desire. At this point, we call on the Student Guild Chair, Mr. Nixon Barry, and this is the chair of the St. Lucia chapter of the Open Campus, because we have Open Campus students throughout the region. And Mr. Nixon Barry will give a few remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Simon, Your Excellency, Dame Paulette Louisy, Governor General of St. Lucia, Sir George Aline, Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Dr. Longsworth, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of the West Indies Open Campus, Dr. Raymond, Prime Minister's representative, Honorable Rigobert, Minister of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, members of the Diplomatic Corps, other distinguished guests, alumni, students, friends of the UWI, pleasant morning. From since 1948, under the name the University of the West Indies College in Jamaica, UWI started impacting our region. In 1960, the University of the West Indies launched its second campus in St. Augustine, and 3 years later, its Cave Hill campus. In 2008, the baby of the family, the Open Campus, came into being, opened its doors, and since then has made tremendous strides in education and student advancement. I reflect on these dates because they are turning points in the history of the Caribbean and would be of some of the early forms of integration ahead of organizations such as CARICOM. From the University of the West Indies, a new ethos was born, a bond that students share and cannot be traded because of how unique the experience is. Ladies and gentlemen, the contributions of the UWI have made to this region is endless. From research, education, disaster management, and leadership. The birthing of 18 heads of government, with 6 still serving in those capacities, along with ministers of government who are also graduates of the University of the West Indies. And as I speak of heads of government, I wish to pause to mention the Honorable Patrick Manning, former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who was also a former student and staff member of UWI. I refer to some of these past and present achievements and contributions because I think sometimes we forget. We forget what the University of the West Indies has done, and we take it for granted. As such, I've come here today with a clear message. Firstly, to fully endorse the UWI Global Giving Week. It's about time we embrace and develop our own. The University of the West Indies is ours. It's Caribbean. It's what we identify with. And the changes that we want to see from it would come only from our contributions and our commitment. Secondly, I wish to call on our governments to continue to show positive political will towards the development of our very own university. Thirdly, to our alumni worldwide, I wish to issue a homecoming call to get involved in the Global Giving Week and even beyond to push UWI forward. To our current students, especially those here in St. Lucia, on behalf of the Student Guild, We ask you to come forward with your contributions and make a positive change and impact within UWI. Finally, to the staff, students, parents, families, and friends of students, all stakeholders, I invite you to rally, and it seems to be the key word today, to rally around the University of the West Indies, not just to ensure that Global Giving Week is a success, but for the future of our region and our education advancement and training of our professionals throughout the Caribbean. I thank you for your advanced contributions and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. And I would like to apologize to Her Excellency Leif Escalona. Ambassador of Venezuela is here, so we have a number of embassies represented. But she's at all our functions, so she's beginning to actually look like one of our staff. So sorry, apologies, Ambassador. Mr. Barry, a current student, put yet another spin to all of this. I think he wants us to now look at Global Investment Week, because that is what we are doing when we give to the university, to the region's university. We are investing, and we are investing in people like Mr. Barry and those to come. So it's not just giving for giving's sake, okay? So far, I've just been given an update that we have total contributions of $24,500 EC plus 2,000 US. Not bad for a morning's work. Thank you, Excellency. And the donation we received from it was from the staff of Invest St.Lucia. The staff of Invest St.Lucia. Thank you very, very much. And I suspect that they are all alumni as well. Most of them are. So at this point, I move to remarks from the official contact of the UWI Alumni Association, St. Lucia chapter, Ms. Lydia Daria.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. I know after my brief remark, education, innovation, gender relations, and sustainable development, members of the diplomatic corps, other distinguished guests, alumni, friends, students of the University of the West Indies. I wish you all, distinguished guests, a pleasant good morning. It is with utmost gratitude and honor that I deliver these brief remarks as official contact of the UE Alumni Association on this auspicious occasion. I wish to thank our Governor General and Patron, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, for the privilege of having the UE Alumni Association participate in this launch. We embrace this opportunity to assist our alma mater in the Global Giving Initiative, as our mandate also encourages bonds of affinity and commitment, as well as proactive engagement in fundraising activities to enhance the development of the university. As I reflected on the theme for Global Giving Week, emancipate, educate, donate, it brought to mind an adage quite familiar to most of us. The late Sir William Arthur Lewis, 1915 to 1991, who in 1959 was the first West Indian principal, and in 1962 the first West Indian vice-chancellor of the UE, and of course one of St. Lucia's highly acclaimed Nobel laureates, said, and I quote, "The fundamental cure for poverty is not money, but knowledge." This well-known quotation highlights that we can indeed acquire a greater sense of emancipation and address our economic, environmental, and social challenges through the power of education, which can be realized through our personal investments in our educational institutions. I speak from my personal experience when I say how grateful I am for the opportunity which UE Open Campus afforded me in enabling me to realize a first-class education. The UE, having seen my potential, also awarded me a scholarship to fulfill my dream of attaining a master's degree at the UWI Cave Hill campus. This I know was made possible for the continued support of the public and private sector as benefactors to the university. It is because of this quality educational opportunity and experience that I have developed into a more knowledgeable, confident individual who can significantly contribute to St. Lucia's development. I thank the university for this. Consequently, I have made it my personal duty to give back to my alma mater by volunteering my service to the UWI Alumni Association. I know that there are over thousands of alumni in St. Lucia who also realize how their lives have changed because the UWI enabled the realization of their academic aspirations. It is therefore in keeping with the mandate of the Alumni Association and out of love and dedication to the UWI that today I make this humble call to alumni to please join in this global giving initiative. I urge you to please demonstrate your Pelican pride and Pelican spirit by being benevolent to our alma mater. In that way, the same opportunities that we have been privileged to receive for our UWI education will be given to many of our youth. Let us collectively as alumni invest in education and contribute to the university's research, capital projects, infrastructural needs, and student scholarships. The UWI, our regional university, is the backbone of our region, and its growth and development is dependent on us as alumni. It is therefore critical that we, as UWI ambassadors, who are considered the lifeblood and living history of the university, work together and willingly contribute to the sustainability of our university. It therefore gives me great pleasure to start the alumni giving process by making the donation of 2,500 EC dollars on behalf of the UWI Alumni Association towards this global giving initiative. Let this be an indication of the association's commitment and unwavering support to our alma mater. I wish to use this opportunity to also encourage alumni to continue to actively support the association so that we can realize our mandate as a pillar of the university. In conclusion, I wish to reiterate to alumni the value and importance of showing our Pelican pride by giving generously to the university. Let us, as proud alumni, for a sense of community, make a difference and help the University of the West Indies drive regional development. Remember, we are all one UWI, one alumni family. I thank you sincerely.
Thank you, Ms. Daria, and I'm sure that her promise has materialized and pockets are beginning to burn. At this point, we have our rallying call from the principal. It's listed as the principal's call to action. So I hope that you're all hyped up, and the principal will give us the call to action, and following that, we will have a rendition of our university song. Dr. Longsworth.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. Your Excellency, Dame Pearlette Louise, Governor General of St. Lucia, Sir George Lane, Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, the Honorable Dr. Raymond, Prime Minister's representative, Honorable Gail Rigobert, Minister of, and I pause for a breath, Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, Your Excellencies and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, alumni, students, friends of the UWI, members of the media, and let us not forget the wide audience that is watching this live stream across the region and indeed the world. A very, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
I'm afraid that the call to action makes me feel a little bit like a lower middle order batsman coming in when the team needs 2 runs to win. Because after our Governor General's call, our Chancellor, our Vice Chancellor, our Student Guild President, our alumni contact, and of course our outstanding chair, my colleague, Dr. Veronica Simon, I really do not feel that I need to do much rallying. The rallying is already done. But I will take a leaf out of your book, Your Excellency, and simply say that I am on the program, and I shall do my very best to call to action. Ladies and gentlemen, the university is approaching 70 years, 70. We celebrate 68 years this year, but as all persons who reach that age, you know, you start looking forward to that 70, the 70 years, which I imagine is promised to us in the Bible as that's all that we are really promised. But for mere mortals, but for universities, it is a little bit different. When the founding fathers of the University of the West Indies started this institution, they may not have envisioned a regional university with 3 physical campuses and 1 open campus touching all of the countries. They may not have foreseen a university with over 50,000 students, over 5,000 of whom are studying fully online in their homes. They may not have imagined a spread of over 150,000 alumni, among whom we count 14 prime ministers, several governors general, present company particularly celebrated, leaders of the government, the private and public sectors counted among those graduates. And as Dr. Simon said, if we did ask everyone to stay home, we believe that the region, and perhaps indeed the world, would be in serious financial and economic trouble. So the university has contributed tremendously to our development. However, our UWI now moves into a new phase of its development at a time when our countries face some of the greatest economic, social, and political challenges perhaps since independence. In recognition of these challenges, our Vice Chancellor, as you have heard, has articulated a stirring vision of the UWI as, and I quote him, I'm not plagiarizing note, I quote, as an activist university. And what does that mean? It means a university that will fulfill what he refers to as a AAA strategy. The first A being access, and this is where our open campus plays a pivotal role. We can no longer think of a university as a place that people go to. A university must now go to the people. The second A is agility. The world is changing, and the university must be able to respond in an agile way to the changing needs of our economies and of our people. And the third A is alertness to global opportunities and regional needs. Already we have seen the university's activism in play only over the last few months. Recently, task forces have been formed to tackle key regional issues, from natural disasters in Dominica, for example, to the scourge of the sargassum on our beaches, to the Zika virus threat, and only last week to initiate the dialogue to break down the implications of Brexit for our Caribbean economies. But what is a university? It is nothing without its community of scholars, students, and importantly, its graduates. All universities are only as good as the performance of their graduates and their faculty. We are justly proud of the performance of our graduates, and we celebrate them. In St. Lucia, we boast about them even more because St. Lucia has produced for us a Nobel laureate in Sir Derek Walcott and a Vice Chancellor who was also a Nobel laureate in Sir Arthur Lewis. And of course, our own Governor General is a graduate. So St. Lucia can be very, very proud of of its graduates of the UWI. However, it could be said, and indeed it is said, and I will be very brutally honest here, that the UWI has not reached out adequately to its alumni, that the UWI has not kept its alumni fully in the loop of what it is doing, that unlike other universities in the United States and Canada primarily, that our alumni are not touched by the activities of the university on a regular basis. And we accept that criticism, but the only way to move forward from a critique is to correct it. And this global giving, give back, investment, love that one, week, is the first step to bringing our alumni back into the developmental fold of the university. The world has changed rapidly, and for our countries to continue to grow and survive, we must transform our economies. We must create wealth. There is too much poverty in our region. We must look this new economy that is unfurling before our very eyes in the face, and we must be innovative. We must be creative. Universities, and indeed the UWI in particular, as the region's top research institution, are integral to this process. The UWI has trained thousands of St. Lucians. I've been trying to get a count, and this is one of the challenges we have, and we ask all graduates to please make sure we have your emails so that we can engage you. These graduates have given of their talents to their country and beyond. But as our Governor General said, to whom much is given, much is expected. It is becoming more and more difficult for governments and families to support tertiary education at the level that we need to support it. As beneficiaries of the public purse, we graduates, because I too am a graduate of the University of the West Indies, must open new pathways to ensure that we keep the door open, that we build the ladder for others to climb up behind us. We must increase tertiary enrollment in the region. The region's average is 15% of our cohort enrolled in tertiary education. If we look at any of our developmental indices, it is clear that there is a correlation between higher education enrollment and development. And we need to have a target of reaching 50% within the next few years if we are to remain relevant and competitive in the new economy. It seems like a big challenge, ladies and gentlemen, but we can do it. But we must do it together. This Global Giving campaign is the start of that movement to join hands with our alumni and friends to assert that we can educate and emancipate our region. Let us be clear. This is not a begging campaign. This is an investment campaign. This is a campaign that is resting on the words of Bob Marley, but we tend to forget the other part of that line when he says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, but then he says, none but ourselves can free our minds. We have to be self-reliant. We, alumni, have to lead the way for others to invest in our people. As the UWI does groundbreaking research in medicine, in sports, in marijuana, and other agricultural innovations, we need to ensure its sustainability for centuries to come, and ensure, too, that the currency of our degree alumni will not be devalued as we see happening with all currencies in the region. We have to put a lot of backing, or as they would say in Jamaica, backative, behind the currency of our degree. And this is the call for action that we make to you today. Like the founding fathers, we have to today imagine the unimaginable. We have to plan for the unknown. We have to anticipate the unexpected. The Global Giving Campaign is one way in which we can all become a part of that unimaginable future. And one day, maybe 100 years from now, as our descendants stand before similar audiences and speak of the UWI in 2016, they will say that our sustainability, our success began today, July 8th, 2016, here in St. Lucia, when we launched our Global Giving Week. I want to once again thank most sincerely our patron, the Governor General, for her gracious acceptance, not just of being patron, but of putting her heart into this campaign. I want to thank the donors and the persons who have pledged so far for putting your money where your mouth is. And I also want to thank the committee, the staff of the UWI Open Campus for their support of the event today. And I end by hitting my 2 runs and say, please continue to help us to educate our region, emancipate our people. Donate, please, from August 1st to 7th, starting this year and moving into our unimaginable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal. And yes, that certainly stirred many chords in our hearts, and I'm ready to run the race. I think she took us over the boundary. Yeah, definitely. No lower order batsman there at all. And I just want to say that we have pledges from Lucelec and Unicoma that will be announced later. So they're coming in. At this point, I would like to call on another one of our talented alumni, Mrs. Elra Urmi. What's your surname again? Glasgow. Yeah, she's always going to be Elra Urmi to me. And she is going to lead us in the university song, There Is a Light, and the lyrics are at the back of your program.
Good morning. From Caribbean islands, Guyana and Belize, was born our University of the West Indies, proud symbol of our oneness, our strength in unity. With vision clear, you came along to shape our destiny, to follow after knowledge, the truth to seek and find, to teach us love and justice, to liberate the mind. Today we see you rising, a light out of the west, that guides the feet of all who seek the noblest and the best. There is a light that is rising from out of the west, and proud bearers of that light are we. So we follow those whose work has brought glory to your name, making a better world for you and for me. Now from your noble portals, your sons and daughters go to face a world of challenges, to conquer every foe. We'll work and play together, and as time marches on, we'll never forget the lesson that the whole we are one. UWI, we praise you, we lift our voice in song. We let our big drums roll loud and steel pans ping ping pong. For you have shaped our lives so that we can truly say, to you we owe our gratitude, a debt we can't repay. There is a light that is rising from out of the west, and broad bearers of that light are we. So we follow those whose work has brought glory to your name, making a better world for you and for me. This is our University of the West Indies.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Elra. Wonderful. And that voice never fails to thrill us every time she sings. And I think she has done more than justice to the university song. Perhaps, Chancellor, this is the best rendition you have heard of the university song. I'm putting you on the spot.
Except when I sing in the shower.
Well, since we are not privy to that, we'll have to take your word for it. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, Chancellor, as we near the end of our formal ceremony, I would like to thank Her Excellency Dame Pearlette Louise for her gracious patronage, for her tireless efforts to support her alma mater, and her work to advance the mission of the UWI through her own activities nationally and abroad. Dame Pearlette exemplifies the sterling pelican qualities of selflessness and commitment, and there will be no opposition to this statement. We would like to express our gratitude, Your Excellency, by asking you to accept this bouquet of flowers as a small token of our appreciation. And this will be presented by Mrs. Leslie Crane Mitchell, our Outreach and Marketing Officer at the UE Open Campus, St. Lucia. And it's an orchid. She loves orchids. And we would also like to thank the staff of Government House, who always provide such enthusiastic logistical support to our activities. A heartfelt thanks to those donors who have taken the UWI into their hearts and pockets and have publicly demonstrated their commitment today and those still to come. I would like to thank you in advance as we go into Giving Week and beyond, and you make and honor your pledges. I want to thank the Planning Committee, which was pulled together at very short notice, as Chancellor said, very, very, very short, and who came together and made this happen to trigger that Giving Week initiative. We would like to thank Flo for sponsoring the live stream and AllBiz for facilitating. We are grateful to the GIS for recording this for posterity, and to the media, the rest of the media which is represented here today, for validating the importance of this occasion. And while this is a university event, it could not have happened without the underground facilitation by the UE Open Campus St. Lucia staff, or family, as we like to refer to ourselves. And I would like to thank my staff for being always willing to burn the midnight oil. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind support, for being the wind beneath the wings of our pelican. Now, can you all rise for the exit of Her Excellency, the Governor General? And the Chancellor, Principal. And I'm sorry that our Chancellor has to be whisked away because he has to get to Huronora Airport right now for a flight to Washington. But in the meantime, I would invite you to share a few refreshments with us and socialize, mingle, and stimulate your pockets a little bit. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good morning after the rest of the day.
This is us. This is how we work. This is how we play. This is how we live. This is how we flow. This is us. This is how we live. This is how we flow. This is us. This is how we work. This is how we play. This is how we live. This is how we flow.